We teased it in the intro. Lots of biopics about black musicians from kind of all over history. We've got Chevalier, Little Richard, and Dear Mama. Break it all down. What should we see?
Yeah, so Chevalier is a very fascinating film starring Kelvin Harrison Jr. about a virtuoso violinist in Marie Antoinette's court. It is a true story about a man who was all of these things who Mozart was actually a fan of. But one of the things that's interesting that happens is he kind of got erased from the history books because he was black. And now we're seeing this gorgeous new film, the costumes, the music, and everything all about him. And finally, he's getting, the due diligence he deserves.
So important, and I know he's not the only one. There was also Little Richard, right? And Dear Mama?
Yeah, so Little Richard, Little Richard was really a trailblazer. He was the influence for Elvis. He was the influence for James Brown, the Rolling Stones. And he also was an influence in queer culture. And in this kind of documentary, we kind of see who the man was behind the scenes, but also who he influenced as well.
Ooh, it's so important to make sure those folks get the recognition they need, even if it comes a little later. Same with Dear Mama.
Dear Mama, I didn't know about the relationship between Tupac and his mom. His mom was an activist. She was a Black Panther. She was a single mom. And this documentary, 5-part series, is really a love letter between mother and son, but also how much she, Afeni Shakur, influenced her son's music, and also how he became kind of this prolific poet in a way because of her activism.
So many great things to see, and there's 2 more films that we want to talk about. What can you tell us about The Covenant and Somewhere in Queens?
So The Covenant stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and it is about the U.S. withdrawals from Afghanistan. Jake plays a sergeant who is rescued by his interpreter. So basically, there's an ambush. Jake gets hurt. The interpreter basically drags him for miles, saves his life. Okay, now get this. Jake goes back to the U.S., only to find out that his interpreter was captured by the Taliban. So Jake's recovering from war, but it was like, I've got to save this guy because he saved me. He goes back to Afghanistan. I don't want to give,
I was going to say, no spoilers. No spoilers.
But, yeah, I mean, it's really a story about human resilience. It's by Guy Ritchie. It's one of Guy Ritchie's best films I've ever seen, hands down.
That's so incredible. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about Mrs. Davis on Peacock. People are saying it's unlike anything they've ever seen before.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm going to be on Hoda and Jenna later today, and we're also talking about Mrs. Davis. First of all, Peacock is killing it right now with the programming. But, okay, how do I set this up? Mrs. Davis is about an AI who controls the universe. So obviously right now that's in the news. Very well-versed right now, and the person that is saving the world is a Catholic nun. So imagine a Catholic nun saving the universe from AI. It's by the same people that did Lost, the same people that did The Big Bang Theory. So you're going to get a little sci-fi, you're going to get some comedy, you're going to get a mix of all the things. Also, there's a quest for the Holy Grail. How does that sound?
Sounds kind of epic.
I'm curious about Somewhere in Queens. Tell us about that.
So Somewhere in Queens is Ray Romano's first film. He spent 6 years writing it, producing it, starring it, and he's the director. And it's really a story about father and son. His son was a basketball star in real life, and in this film, same thing happens. But one of the things that happens is the son decides not to play ball in college. So it's really a family tale that Ray, it's a passion project for him that he really, really, really does love. And I saw it, and it's a very, very sweet film.
Breaking out of that sitcom shell.
I like that.
100%.
I like Ray Romano. Finally, there's a remake of Dead Ringers. Quickly, what's going on with that one?
Dead Ringers. Okay, so Dead Ringers stars Rachel Weisz. She plays 2 twin identical gynecologists.
Interesting.
It gets a little sinister. It's a story about human reproduction. It's a story about female rights. It's a story about abortion. It's a story about detectiveness, and it's based on David Cronenberg's 1988 film. It gets very dark, so don't watch it with the kids.
Yeah.
Don't watch it with kids. But one of Rachel Weisz's best roles, I don't know if you guys seen Orphan Black.
Not yet, but definitely relevant to the current news cycle. Andrew,
100%.
thank you so much for breaking it down. Lots to watch this weekend.
Lots to watch, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That does it for this hour of Morning News Now.
The news continues right now.